Hello children and viewers. So now we are entering to the diffraction at curved surfaces. So far we discussed about the refraction at plane surfaces. So in that refraction at plane surface I explained about what is diffraction and loss of diffraction and what happens to light when it is travel from rarer medium to denser medium and as well as when the light is travel from denser medium to rarer medium. So now coming to the refraction at a curved surface, and now the refraction takes place at curved surfaces. So now the surface is not the plane. So the surface separating the rarer medium and denser medium is not the plane. Now it is the curved surfaces. Curved surface. So in that refraction at curved surface or surfaces. So first of all I am going to derive a formula. So that will be explain about the relation between the object distance and image distance and as well as the focal length. So that's it, that formula is called formula of refraction. Formula of refraction. This is called the formula of refraction when light will be refracted curved surfaces. So that formula is n2 by v minus n1 by u equal to n2 minus n1 by r n2 minus n1 by 2f. So this formula I am going to derive. So this can be applicable and this formula can be used for any curved surfaces, that may be concave or convex. So to derive this formula, and by using when I am deriving this formula, I can also explain how the image formation can be takes place when the refraction will be at the curved surface. So to derive this formula I am taking, so this is a denser medium. Let us imagine this is a denser medium. This is the denser medium, and so around it will be considered rarer medium. So this is the denser medium. This is the denser medium, and now this part will be considered the rarer medium. This part will be considered rarer medium. Now this is the surface separating the two media. This is the surface separating the two media is not the plane. Now this time it is curved. This is a curved. This is a curved surface. So this is the curved surface that is separating the rarer medium and denser medium. Now consider the rarer medium refractive index is n1, or it can be represented with mu also. Refractive index may be represented with n or mu. At 10th class level it can be represented with n, and at higher class it can be represented with mu. So now let us imagine the denser medium refractive index will be n2. The refractive index of the denser medium will be n2. So now by taking this curved surface as a part when I draw the sphere, for example by taking this curved surface as a part when I draw the sphere, you get the sphere. The center of the sphere will be called as center of curvature. That is, imagine this is the center of curvature, and so the midpoint of this curved surface will be called as pole. This is a pole and this is the center of curvature. So the imaginary line passing through pole, this is a line, I am drawing a line that is passing through the pole line, center of curvature. So this imaginary line will be called as the principal axis. So now this is the center of curvature and this is the pole for this curved surface. This is the principal axis. Now I am taking an object O. This is a point object O is placed on the principal axis at a distance u. Let us imagine this distance is u. So this object is at a distance, how much distance u from the pole of this curved surface. Pole of this curved surface. So now I am going to explain how the image of this object can be formed. How the image of this object can be formed. So to explain that, I am taking one incident ray, so that is coming from the object. You take the incident ray any direction, that may be above the principal axis or that may be below the principal axis. So now this is the incident ray. So that is coming from the object O, is incident on the curved surface. So but the incident ray is traveling in the rarer medium, and it is incident on the curved surface separating the rarer medium and denser medium. So at certain point, so this point will be considered A. So this A is the point of incidence. A is the point of incidence. So with what angle it is incidenting on the curved surface, and as well as after entering into the denser medium, how it will be bent, to know that I am drawing a normal. How can you draw the normal? The simple technique is join the point of incidence and center of curvature with help of a line. So that can be called as the normal. So this is the normal. This is the normal for this curved surface at point A. Now the angle between the normal and incident ray. This is the normal. This is the normal and this is the incident ray. The angle between the normal and incident ray will be considered I. This I is called angle of incidence. But if there is no denser medium, only rarer medium is there, what happened? The light ray travels along the same straight line path. This is the same straight line. It will be go the same straight line path, or it will be continue the same straight line path. But what happened when it reaches to this point A? What happened? The medium is changing. So which medium is there here? Denser medium. So already I explained, when the light is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium, it bend towards a normal. It bend towards a normal. So this is a light ray, that's it bend towards a normal. So after bending towards a normal, so now this is the path of the light, and this light ray will be known as the refracted ray. So the angle between the refracted ray and normal drawn to surface, this angle. So this is the angle between the refracted ray and normal. So this angle will be considered R. R, only R. This is the R. This letter is the R, angle of refraction. So now, so to form the image, how many minimum rays are required? 2 refracted rays. So where the point where the 2 refracted rays are really meet, so that point will be called as image. Or when the 2 refracted rays are extended back at a point, so at that point an image is formed. That point is called also virtual image. So now, to form the image, I am taking another incident ray, so that is traveling in the direction of center of curvature. So in the direction of center of curvature means what? The light is traveling in the normal. Now, so this is a point. When I draw the normal for this point, so this is the normal. So this is the point of incident, and this is the center of curvature. That's why this is a normal. Now this light ray is traveling in the direction of the normal. So what happened? It will continue the same path. So when it continues the same path, what happened? Now this is the refracted ray, and this refracted ray is meeting here. This is the first refracted ray and this is the second refracted ray are intersecting here. That's why here which is formed? Image is formed. At this point image is formed. How many minimum refracted rays are required to form the image? 2. So that's why I am using the 2 refracted rays. So where the 2 refracted rays are intersect, at that point which is formed image. Now that is imagine the distance between the pole to image will be considered V. So this is the image distance. And the distance from the pole to center of curvature will be known as what? Radius of curvature. Radius of curvature. So here generally all the distance are measured from pole. The distance between the pole and object, the distance between pole and object will be considered U. And the distance between the pole to center of curvature, pole to center of curvature is known as radius of curvature. The distance between the pole to image will be called as image distance, that is V. That is the V. But in this diagram, what are the rays that I am taken? That is only paraxial rays. That are only paraxial rays. Paraxial rays are nothing but the rays which are very nearer to principal axis will be called as paraxial rays. Remember. So after that, I am considering the angle made by the incident ray with the principal axis is alpha. The angle made by the refracted ray with the principal axis will be considered beta. This is a beta. And the angle made by the normal, this is the angle made by the normal, this is the normal drawn from a point of incident. So the angle made by the normal and with the principal axis will be considered gamma. Here r is there, gamma is there. Here r will be, I am writing like this. This r is nothing but angle of refraction. Angle of refraction. Here gamma I am writing like this, gamma. So this is gamma will be known as angle made by normal with the principal axis. With the principal axis, don't confuse. Here r is there and gamma is there. Gamma means we are extending that side of r upward, one of the side of r upward. So now, so when I take these angles, alpha is nothing but angle made by the incident ray with the principal axis, and beta is the angle made by the refracted ray with the principal axis, and gamma is the angle made by the normal with the principal axis, and I is angle of incidence and r is angle of refraction. So when I form this image, so now you get the triangles here. So one is a triangle OAC. So I am drawing here. So this is point A, and this is O, and this is C, and then now this is a normal, and this is the incident ray, and this is the principal axis. So now here what is the angle? Here alpha, and what is the angle here? Gamma, and what is the angle here? I. Now it is a triangle OAC. In this triangle, alpha and gamma are called internal angles and I is called external angle. So there is a relation between the internal angles and external angle. So what is the relation? So external angle equal to sum of the internal angles. So that's why here external angle is I and internal angle is alpha and gamma. That's why the external angle is always equal to sum of the internal angles. So that is nothing but I is equal to alpha plus gamma. So now consider this equation 1. Now consider there is another triangle. So that is nothing but A. So this is the I and C. I am writing here. So this is A and this is I and this is C and this is the principal axis. This is the normal. So normal is making how much angle with the principal axis? Gamma. And this is a refracted ray. And this refracted ray is making with the normal how much angle? R only. And this refracted ray is making some angle with the principal axis. What is that? That is beta. So now this time, this is a triangle AIC. These two are called internal angles and this is called the external angle. So that's why what you can written as external angle gamma equal to sum of the internal angle. What is sum of the internal angle? R plus beta. This is R. This is gamma. So from this one, what is R? R means angle of refraction. Only angle of refraction equal to what you can written as gamma minus beta. Now consider this is the equation 2. And what I do here? So I've written the angle of incidence in terms of the angle made by the incident ray and angle made by the normal. And I am writing the angle of refraction in terms of the angle made by the normal with the principal axis and angle made by the refracted ray with the principal axis. So now come to this what the rays I am taking in this diagram? Paraxial rays. In case of the paraxial rays, so generally paraxial rays are nothing but the rays which are very nearer to principal axis are called paraxial rays. So in this paraxial rays, if I take the sin theta can be taken as theta, and if I take the tan theta can be taken as theta. Remember, and as well as, so if I draw the normal from point of, and if I draw a normal to the principal axis from point of incidence, you get a line that will be intersect on the principal axis somewhere. So that will be considered P dash. So in the case of the paraxial rays, when I draw the normal from point of incidence to principal axis, that will be meet at or intersect at a point. That point will be considered P dash. So now, if we get the P dash, in case of the pyramidal rays, this P dash will be also same as the P, and nothing but when these rays are approaches to principal axis, now the P dash is approaches to P. So that's why you can take the P dash is nothing but P. P dash is nothing but P. If we take the P dash is nothing but P, so the distance between the P dash is nothing but PC. The distance between the P and I nothing but the distance between the P dash and I nothing but Pi. The distance between the P dash and O is nothing but P. I am writing here. So when P dash equal to P, so this P dash is similar to P and nothing but P dash O. P dash O can be taken as PO. That is what PO. PO is nothing but pole to object distance U, and as well as the distance between the P dash C can be taken as P dash C, can be taken as PC equal to PC. That is PC is nothing but radius of curvature, and the distance between the P dash to I can be taken as what? Pi. P dash I can be taken as Pi. Pi is nothing but image distance. So this you have to remember. And if I find the tan alpha, so the tan alpha can be taken as alpha. If I find the tan beta, so that can be taken as beta. If we find the tan gamma, I taken as that is gamma, because tan theta can be taken as theta. Now come to the diagram. So in this diagram, I am going to find the tan alpha, tan beta and tan gamma. Tan alpha, tan beta, tan gamma I am going to find. So now first of all I am finding the tan alpha. So tan alpha. So like tan theta, tan alpha is nothing but what? Opposite side by adjacent side. So for this alpha, this AP dash is opposite side and OP dash is the adjacent side. So that's why what is the tan theta formula? Opposite side by adjacent side. So what is the opposite side here? AP dash. AP dash by what is adjacent side? OP dash. OP dash. So what? OP dash or P dash O. You can written as P dash O. P dash O. P dash O. So tan alpha can be taken as what? Alpha. And AP dash by P dash O. P dash O can be taken as what? PO. PO is nothing but U. This is the tan alpha. And next, let us consider this equation 3. This consider equation 3. Now coming to the tan beta. Tan beta. Tan beta. So what is tan beta? Tan beta. So tan beta can be from this right angle triangle. So what is the right angle triangle? AP dash B. Sorry, AP dash I. So tan alpha can be taken in the triangle OAP dash. In the triangle OAP dash, I find the tan alpha. Now by taking the triangle AP dash I, this is a triangle. So this beta. For beta, which is opposite side? AP dash. And which is adjacent side? P dash I. So that's why tan beta is nothing but what? AP dash by, this is opposite side, by what is the adjacent side here? P dash I. P dash I. So but the tan beta can be taken as what? Beta equal to AP dash by P dash I. P dash I is nothing but what? V. Now consider this is equation 4. This is the equation 4. So next after I am finding the tan gamma. I am finding the tan gamma. So to find the tan gamma, I am taking the right angle triangle AP dash C. ABC letter. AP dash C. So this is a right angle triangle. So this is a gamma. This is the gamma. So for this gamma, which is opposite side? AP dash, and what is adjacent side? P dash. So that's why tan gamma is nothing but opposite side. Opposite side is nothing but AP dash by. So what is adjacent side? P dash. P dash C. So tan gamma can be taken as gamma, that equal to AP dash by P dash C. So P dash C is nothing but PC. PC is nothing but R. Now consider this equation. How much? 5. But when I am discussing the how this object image can be formed, so what the phenomenon we taken here? Refraction. So that's why when I come to the second law of refraction, the second law of diffraction can give the relation between the angle of incidence and angle of refraction. So that's why according to Snell's law. Now I am using Snell's law. According to Snell's law, what is the Snell's law? Snell's law is nothing but relative refract index of second medium with respect to first medium equal to absolute refract index of the second medium by absolute refract index of the first medium equal to what is that? Sin I by sin R. This is when the light is traveling from the first medium to second medium. So when I do this cross product, so what I get? N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. Sin R. This is not the gamma, sin R. So N1. So but sin, this is the in case of the paraxylate, sin theta can be taken as theta and nothing but sin I can be taken as I, sin R can be taken as R. So that's why N1 I equal to N2 R. I am writing sin I nothing but sin theta is nothing but theta, sin I can be taken as I, sin R can be taken as R. So now N1 I, what is I? From equation 1, what is I? I is nothing but alpha plus gamma. Right? Alpha plus gamma is equal to N2. What is R? R is nothing but, what is R here? R is nothing but gamma minus beta. R is nothing but gamma minus beta from equation 2. Gamma minus beta. So now N1. Alpha is nothing but from equation 3, AP dash by U. AP dash by U. Next, what is there? Plus gamma. Gamma is nothing but, so now consider this equation 5. From equation 5, so what is gamma? Gamma is nothing but, already wrote here, sorry. So equation 5. From equation 5, so what is gamma? AP dash by what? R. Next, equal to, so what is there? N2. So next N2. So what is gamma? Again AP dash by R. Next, what is there? Minus. Next, what is there? Minus. So what is there next? Beta. Beta is nothing but from equation 4, beta is nothing but AP dash by B. AP dash by V. So this you got. So next, when we simplify, so for the simplify, I am removing this part. So for when simplify, what you get? So from left hand side, what you take common? AP dash, and right hand side also you can take the common AP dash. So that's why when I multiply the N1 inside and bringing the AP dash outside, what you get? AP dash taken outside and N1 is multiplied inside, and the N1 by U, and this when AP dash come outside, AP dash plus, and when N1 is multiplied inside, N1 by R equal to, and in the same way AP dash taken outside and N2 is multiplied inside, what you get? AP dash of, when AP dash come outside and N2 will be go inside, what happen? N2 by R, N2 by R minus When AP dash come outside and N2 will be going inside, what happen? AP dash, now N2 will be replaces the AP dash, so N2 by V. So this AP dash will be cancelled. Then what remains here? N1 by U plus N1 by R equal to N2 by R minus N2 by V. Now bring the N2 by V to the left side and N1 by R to the right side. What you get? N1 by U. So when minus N2 by V come to this left side, what happened? Plus N2 by V is equal to N2 by R, and again when this N1 by R will be taken to the right side, so minus N1 by R. Now take the 1 by R common on right side, so N1 by U plus N2 by V equal to 1 by R taken outside, then what you get? N2 minus N1 by R. So this formula is called refraction formula at a curved surfaces. But when we use this formula, after applying the sign convention only we have to use. So but this is a curved surface, the light is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium. That's why we have to apply the sign convention. So already you know that all the distance are measured from the pole. The distance is measured in the direction of incident light can be taken as positive. The distance is measured opposite to the direction of incident light can be taken as negative. After applying sign convention, so all the distance are measured from where? Pole. So that's why when we measure the object distance, in which direction you are moving, from pole you are started and you are moving towards object, but you are moving in which direction? This is the incident ray direction, that's why you are moving opposite to the incident ray. That's why this OP can be taken as negative. OP means what? Object distance. That's why object distance U can be taken as minus U. And when you measure the image distance, so this is the pole and this is the image. So all the distance are measured from pole. So that's why to measure the image distance, in which direction you are moving, in the direction, the incident ray is also in the same direction. That's why this V can be taken as positive plus V. And as well as when we come to the radius of curvature means the distance between the pole to center of curvature can be called as what? Radius of curvature. So to measure the radius of curvature, you are moving in which direction? This is the distance from pole to center. When you measure the distance of center of curvature from pole, in which direction we are moving? In the direction of the incident ray. That's why you get the R equal to plus R. So when I substitute these values in the above equation, what you get? So I am removing this part here. ఇక్కడ నేను మల్పేస్తున్నా చూడండి. So when substitute the U with what? Minus U. So N1 by minus U. Next what is there? N2 by V. V means plus as it is. So next what is there? N2 minus N1 by R. R is also plus R. So now when I rearrange this, what do you get? N2 by V minus N1 by U equal to N2 minus N1 by R. So this formula is called the which formula? Formula of refraction. When the light will be undergoes the refraction from one medium to another medium. So this formula can be used for any curved surfaces, that may be convex surface or that may be concave surfaces. So this is about the which formula? Formula of refraction when the light will be undergo the refraction at two mediums. So this is the today class. So next class I am going to solve some problems by using this formula.
Like a Hellcat.